I found out about my wife's affair when the police called and summoned me for questioning about her lover. I don't know what to do now. I'm not even sure if I should be writing about this online, but my head is a mess and I came here for advice. My wife and I have been married for 12 years. We have an amazing 11-year-old son. Until last night. I thought we had a strong marriage. I've always treated her well. We've never had money problems, no issues in our intimate life, and I never took her for granted. Honestly, every morning I would wake up grateful to God that this woman chose me, and now, I don't even know what to think. Yesterday, as I was leaving work, I got a call from the local police department. They asked if I could come to the station as soon as possible. I panicked and asked if something had happened to my wife or son. They told me not to worry, just to come urgently. When I got there, they brought me into a room with a table and a couple of chairs. They asked my name. I gave it, and then started asking me a bunch of questions about some guy who works with my wife. I hadn't seen or spoken to him since December 2019, at her company's Christmas party. The two cops kept pressing me. How long have you known about this? How did you find out? The only answer I could give was, what are you even talking about? After about an hour of this interrogation, I stopped answering their questions and kept repeating, where are my son and wife? Are they safe? It went in circles like that for around 2 hours. With breaks, the officers would step out for 15 to 20 minutes, then come back and start again, like it was some low-budget drama. Then, the last time they came in, one of the cops handed me a tablet and showed me a video of my wife having sex with that coworker. I don't remember clearly what happened right after. I just remember screaming, what the F*** is this? Again and again. I had a full-blown panic attack right there in the station. The officers called in a medic. He checked me and said, my blood pressure was around 170/110. He wanted to send me to the hospital, but I refused and said I needed to find my wife and son when I finally calmed down a bit. The police explained that the guy in the video had been sleeping with my wife, and apparently with several other women as well. That morning, he was found by passers-by on a driveway, beaten, raped, and set on fire. He was still alive, but in critical condition, and the doctors didn't know if he'd survive. His wife gave the police access to his phone and computer, and that's where they found the video of him with my wife. They asked where I was that morning. I told them, at the gym, then at work, about 10 minutes from a gym. They said I could go, but it might not be safe to stay home because the assault could be linked to his affair with my wife. They also said my wife wasn't the only one he had been seeing. I rushed home. My son was with our neighbors. I picked him up. We packed some clothes and his school laptop. I grabbed my gun, and we drove to my parents' house, about 45 minutes away. I haven't heard anything from my wife since. Her phone goes straight to voicemail. I called the officer who gave me his card. He said she's in the hospital, with the same guy she cheated on me with. Right now, I'm sitting in bed, my son on one side, my gun on the other. My dad is dozing in the living room chair with a shotgun on his lap. I haven't slept in over 30 hours. I don't know what to do. Any advice would be appreciated. My head is foggy. Update. I just spoke to my wife's parents. Turns out, she checked herself into the psychiatric wing. First update. To those saying my story is fake, I can only say this. With all my heart, I wish it were fake. Sometimes, truth really is stranger than fiction. Those who said they couldn't find any news about it. Apparently, due to the nature of the attack, a lot of information has been kept private. Even our local media only reported it as an assault, and only gave it a single sentence during the evening news. Those implying or outright claiming that the police would never behave like this, you are 100% wrong, because they absolutely did. I found out from my lawyer that the police are legally allowed to say and do whatever they want unless you are officially under arrest. As long as they don't threaten you directly, they can lie to your face. And that's exactly what they did. Turns out, my wife wasn't actually in the hospital with her lover. When I followed up with the detective, I found out that she had been admitted to the psychiatric wing of the same hospital earlier that day, while he was still in surgery. Why they lied about it, I don't know, but that's the truth. Naturally, after all this, I became very wary of law enforcement. Later that same day, after I'd finally gotten some sleep, I reached out to my uncle's law partner, a close family friend and part of the firm. He came over to my parents' house and we discussed my options. His firm is now representing me both in the divorce and in case there are any criminal implications. That same Sunday, He helped me obtain an emergency custody order and a restraining order against my wife, protecting myself, my son, and my parents. The court hearing was scheduled for 60 days later. Police served her the papers on Monday, when she was discharged from the psychiatric hospital. According to her brother, who is one of my closest friends, she took it very badly. She's currently living with her parents. I haven't spoken to her, and she hasn't tried to reach out to me. Whether that's because of shame, indifference, or the restraining order, I don't know. But either way, I'm grateful. She is not the woman I thought she was. And I'm ashamed I didn't see it sooner that I had to say something to my son. I decided to tell him the truth, but in a way he could understand, given his age. His very first words were, "Please don't let Mom take me." I asked him why he said that. He told me that my wife treated him terribly when I wasn't around, and said that if he ever told me, she'd take him away and he'd never see me again. She emotionally blackmailed and tormented our son, and I was too blind to see it, honestly. That destroyed me more than the video ever could. I told my lawyer, and he used my son's words, as well as my wife's mental health crisis and hospitalization, to secure the emergency custody order. I also contacted my son's school to set up therapy. And he'll begin seeing a counselor after New Year's. Right now, I feel like the worst father in the world. My wife's parents contacted me on Tuesday and asked if they could come see us. I was still staying at my parents' place and told them they were welcome to come, but my wife was not allowed anywhere near us. They agreed. They came over and apologized non-stop. Her pale, tear-streaked mother cried the entire time she was there. Her father looked heartbroken and kept referring to my wife as that girl. Both of them said they felt something had been wrong with her for a while, and that they hadn't raised her to be like this. We hugged and said goodbye through tears. I told them that no matter how the divorce ends, they will always be part of our lives. After my son's confession, their visit was probably the second most painful moment in my life. My legal team has done an incredible job so far. They discovered that the man my wife slept with has an extensive criminal record. One of the lawyers even said the arrest report alone took the printer 5 minutes to finish printing. From what they found, he is currently on parole for serious crimes and had gang affiliations in the past. He's still alive, but in critical condition. His survival is still uncertain. The law firm has a private investigator who got in touch with one of my wife's co-workers, the one who drove her to the hospital. She told him that everyone at the office knew about the affair. My lawyers believe that's how the police identified me and my wife in the video. There are several photos from last year's Christmas party where my wife and I appear together. I'm still completely lost. My heart is shattered. Is there a way to get out of this emotional numbness faster? I feel like I'm observing everything from outside my body, like none of this is even happening to me. Update. First of all, my son is doing much better. He started therapy during the first week of January, and the changes are already noticeable. I asked him if he felt comfortable with me talking to his therapist, and he agreed. So I've spoken with her a few times already. According to the therapist, my soon-to-be ex-wife verbally and emotionally abused our son every time they were alone together. He wasn't allowed to make noise or disturb her in any way when she was home. She would leave him alone for hours, sometimes overnight, whenever I was away. Then she would threaten him that if he told anyone, she'd take him away and he'd never see me again. The therapist said this made him feel powerless and overly dependent at an age when he should be learning independence and self-confidence. So I bought him his own phone and helped him memorize family members' phone numbers and as many useful addresses as possible. I also started teaching him how to navigate the streets, remember street names, and read building numbers. We role-play situations like how to ask for help and how to clearly tell a stranger that he's in trouble and doesn't feel safe. I know this might sound a bit much, but my son tends to get shy and shut down when he feels uncomfortable. And even though we've only been doing this for a few weeks, I can already see his confidence growing. If anyone has more ideas for helping a kid build independence and resilience, I'd be grateful. His safety and well-being are my absolute priority right now. As for me, I'm holding on as much as I can. I started therapy at the same time as my son, though I don't see my therapist as often. Still, just being able to talk about everything that's happened to us, to our family, really helps now. Every time I think of my soon-to-be ex-wife, I feel this burning ball of anger in my stomach. It's strange. I hate feeling angry, but it's still easier to manage than the numbness. My therapist says this is part of the grieving process. It's not about what we feel, it's about how we channel those emotions, legally speaking. This is the scariest thing I've ever faced, that I've been granted full temporary custody and child support. I didn't even want the support payments, but my lawyer insisted. The restraining order for me and my son was also extended during the custody hearing. Neither my wife nor her attorney showed up to the hearing. The judge asked whether we would allow supervised visitation for my wife, but my son firmly refused. That's why my lawyer said we should bring him to the hearing, in case the judge wanted to hear from him directly. The judge asked if he'd be willing to speak to him privately, and my son agreed. So the judge, the court reporter, and a child services representative took him into chambers. The meeting lasted about 10 minutes. Afterward, the judge upheld the emergency orders and scheduled therapy and a psychological evaluation for my son. Thankfully, his therapist is already court accredited or at least affiliated, so we won't need to change professionals. My lawyer said that's a good thing, since this way the current therapist can submit a custody report directly to the court. Even with all this going in our favor, the idea that my wife might still get any form of custody terrifies me. After everything she's done, I don't know how I'd live with that. As for her lover, I still don't know much. According to my attorneys, he's alive but remains hospitalized. I haven't heard anything from the police since the first interrogation. So no updates there. I hadn't seen my wife since the day I was first called to the station. Until last Thursday. She's tried calling me a few times, but I didn't pick up. When she tried calling from a different number, I immediately hung up. I have nothing to say to her. I don't want to hear her voice. Her lawyer requested a preliminary mediation hearing, which the court scheduled for the second week of January. She showed up with her attorney, and I know this might sound petty, but even with makeup on, she looked terrible. She used to be this fit, striking woman. I swear, on our wedding photos, she looked like a supermodel. But now, she's lost so much weight it was frightening. She looked sick, drained. She didn't look up once during the entire meeting, just sat with her head down, and then the mediation started. Everything her lawyer proposed was insane. They wanted supervised visits with our son during the divorce, joint custody afterward. They wanted the restraining orders lifted. And the most outrageous of all, she wanted to move back into my house until the divorce was finalized. I'm not kidding. After everything she's done, she wanted to live under the same roof I had a pounding headache the entire meeting from. How insulting it all was, but enduring that meeting paid off, because then we hit her attorney with something big. Her lawyer asked how we intended to divide the assets. My lawyer raised an eyebrow and said, "What assets? Check the prenup." Her lawyer's face was priceless. She hadn't told him about the prenuptial agreement to my late uncle, who founded the law firm that represents me, had written the prenup himself. He even hired her a separate attorney so she could review it before signing. According to my lawyer, it's a masterpiece. The house we live in was gifted to me by my uncle before we got married. All the utilities and insurance are in my name. Every vehicle is registered individually. We never took out any shared loans or debts. We had one joint savings account for household needs and as an emergency fund. There was about $8,000 in it, and she already emptied it. It's down to under $300 now. The prenup states that all jointly acquired assets and debts are split 50-50ths, but intangible assets and individual debts revert to their origin. There's also an infidelity clause. If one party is caught or admits to cheating, they forfeit any claim to spousal support. There's more in there, but my lawyer says it would be incredibly hard to contest. He called it the fairest agreement he's ever seen. Then came the kicker. Her attorney asked to delay the mediation by 6 months while my wife undergoes inpatient rehab for addiction. Some people in earlier posts had guessed she might have substance issues, but I hadn't even considered that. I spoke with my lawyer. He said we'll take time to think about it and get back to them. Just before we left, my wife spoke for the first time. She asked me to read a letter she'd written. My lawyer gave me a look that basically said, "Be careful, this could be a trap." I hesitated, but took the letter. When I got home and read it, I immediately regretted it began with every cliché cheater apology line imaginable. Exactly the kind of thing people here warn me about. I love you. I love our family. I know I mistreated our son and I hate myself for it. I want to fix us. Then it shifted. She wrote that after undergoing a major surgery about 2 years ago, she started abusing her prescribed meds. Eventually, she began buying them from coworkers, including the man she cheated with. He became her dealer. When she ran out of money, She started sleeping with him to pay for drugs. She said she hid it all from me because she was afraid I'd make her quit, and she didn't know how to feel normal without the pills. She claimed that guy never meant anything to her. He was just a way to get her next dose. She wrote that she hates herself for what she did to both herself and to us. She said she finally realizes how awful it all is, and she wants to recover for the sake of our family. She asked me to give her time to prove she's serious. Let me say this clearly, I will never go back to her. Our marriage ended the moment she cheated on me and hurt our son, but damn, where the hell was I during all this? I feel like the most naive, clueless idiot that's ever walked this earth. I feel like a worthless husband and a terrible father. I feel nothing for this woman but anger and disgust, and yet, is that how you treat someone who's fighting addiction? Additional context, I understand she doesn't deserve forgiveness, and I can't risk my son's well-being for her ever again. She has to go through this on her own. After reading the comments here, I started wondering, did she write that letter as emotional manipulation? To soften the blow in court? To set the stage for an excuse? Someone told me that a lack of compassion isn't the same as being vindictive. I'm trying to internalize that. Letting her fall isn't the same as kicking her while she's down. She put me in an impossible position, and I can't help her. I won't make my son feel like I betrayed him, that I'm still moving forward with the divorce. But I might reach out to her rehab center to see if there's any way I can support her from a distance, not as a partner, but as a human being. Partly because of the love we once shared, but mostly because she's still the mother of my child. But make no mistake, my son is my only priority now, and for what it's worth, my lawyer nearly popped a bottle of champagne after reading her letter. He said it's a direct admission of untreated substance abuse, and that it practically guarantees me full custody. That I don't know what the future looks like. But I know what I won't do. I won't let this ruin my son's future. And I won't let guilt or pity blind me again. This story is ongoing. But this is where we are for now. Well, that's all. Write your opinion in the comments. Watch our previous video. Be sure to subscribe to our channel if for some reason you haven't done so yet. And good luck to you.